If I was the Islamic Republic, between these three options, between America not attacking, America attacking and regime change, and America attacking and no regime change, I actually would prefer America attacking and no regime change. I would prefer that over America not attacking at all. Because my main concern as the Islamic Republic right now is not American attack. It's not even the millions of Iranian people in the streets. My main concern as the Islamic Republic right now is losing credibility among my last remaining supporters, right? An American attack that doesn't do regime change will boost my credibility among my supporters in a way that no amount of propaganda can. The world's superpower came, they tried to topple us. Nothing could boost their base more than this, right? So the Islamic Republic is actually, in a clever way, is now trying to provide the American politicians who want to attack Trump as soon as the war starts. They want to give them as many ammunitions as they possibly can. So American citizens right now who want to for Trump to be able to not just start this war but actually finish it are going to be very influential in world history. Like any American citizen is now going to be very influential. By the way, I hope Americans understand that their say in how history is written is more than any other citizen on any other country anywhere in the world. Your votes in your say and your political activism is more influential than other citizens, and it makes sense for you to use it if you want to. You have power. You have a lot of, with very great power comes great responsibility. You are more influential. Like you are a very key force in directing not just American politics but global politics. So what you're doing, Sabina, is very effective when you're calling politicians. And what I want to show you is this Iranian American Tara, a 17-year-old girl who went to Ro Khanna's town hall meeting. I just want to quickly show to you what she did, and because this was very effective, and this video has gone viral, and Her Royal Highness Noor Pahlavi is also has responded to it. By the way, I just want to do a humble brag again, not very humble brag, that Her Royal Highness Noor Pahlavi only follows 59 people, and one of them is me. Let me just do this. Okay, let me just. Sorry, guys. Mid explanation, I need to do this brag because every time I mention Her Royal Highness, I need to do this brag. The future Queen of Iran, the future Queen of Iran follows only 59 people. Okay, so okay, sorry, I had to do that. Let's go back to. Let's go back to this. All right, so this is Tara. Tara is saying, my question to Ro Khanna at his town hall meeting today on behalf of all Iranians, where is the obstacle? So this is very effective in giving more ammunition to not just President Trump, but Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham. So let's listen to this.
Well, first off, thank you, Congressman, for hosting this town hall in the first place and opening it up to dialogue for your constituents. I just kind of wanted to go back on some of the points that were mentioned in the beginning regarding the Iran situation and try to counter a few of the things that you said, just because I wanted more elaboration. When we're talking about this issue, you're saying that you don't want the U.S. to go into another war with the Middle East. But what we're trying to emphasize here is that targeted strikes on military facilities, IRGC bases, those are very deliberate military strikes, targeted strikes, and this is what the people in Iran are asking for. I have relatives in Iran who are just begging for something to happen. And the more we stall and try to discuss this with Congress, every second that is wasted, another life is being taken. I'm 17 years old. I'm an Iranian American. There are people in Iran who look just like me, who are being murdered on the streets of Iran, and it is just heartbreaking. So I don't understand where is the obstacle in taking action against this regime. You know, everybody is entitled to their opinions about the president, of course. But when it comes to targeting a regime that has been killing nonstop children, 3-year-olds, for 47 years now, where is the obstacle? Please tell me, Congressman, because I and all the Iranian Americans that you see here just cannot fathom that at all.
I share genuinely your horror of what's happening with young people in Iran. I have said that the Iranian regime is massacring civilians. I am not under any illusion that this is anything but an evil regime. I do not have any sympathy for the Iranian regime. I have a lot of sympathy for the protesters in Iran. The question is, what is going to be effective? Last time Donald Trump took unilateral action in Iran, it obviously didn't work. Because we're in a situation after he took that action.
It's better than nothing. Let me just quickly also read Her Royal Highness Noor Pahlavi's response to this. Let me just read this really quickly and then we go back to you guys. So she said, well said, Washington has spent billions combating the symptoms through military deployment. Guys, by the way, when I read this, this is the best argument you could make to Americans who are worried about, oh my God, this is going to be expensive. Why are we paying for this war? Noor Pahlavi's response to Tara, this video, is the best argument. Line by line, just like memorize this. Saying, Washington has spent billions combating the symptoms through military deployment and endless crisis management while leaving the disease untreated. True stability in the Middle East requires targeted actions against the source rather than indefinitely mitigating the chaos it creates. By targeting the regime's apparatus of terror, Washington could shift from a posture of perpetual crisis management to one of strategic partnership. This is what you say to the isolationists. This is what you say to the people that, oh, why should we get involved? The answer is, you're already involved. You're already very involved and you're wasting a lot of money, and this is just a more efficient way of getting the job done once and for all. That's the response. So Sabina, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also,
Javicia.
Armin, I want to say that your analysis was like spot on.
All right.
Did Jeffrey want to really quickly say one thing and then I can go to Chris?
I'm going to post in the chat because just to illustrate again why it's so important that all the things you guys do in waging involving yourself in the battle of the narratives and how the Mullah regime very much uses non-interventionists in the United States. So in the chat, maybe you might want to play this because it's pretty crazy. That was in 2009 when Ron Paul gave an interview to the Mullah regime state TV, openly supporting the Mullah regime, opposing U.S. strikes against the Mullahs and blaming Israel for the creation of Hamas. So if you wonder why I have a serious problem with Ron Paul or libertarians like him, the more contemporary version of that now is you're seeing a weird, unholy alliance between libertarians and Ron bots and hard leftists undermining our interventionist foreign policy. One of those was called Rage Against the War Machine. It had all kinds of frauds and liars, including people like Adam Kokesh, who is a disgraced former military personnel that worked for RT. This is what's going on. So the things you do here, super important, super important. Watch this. This is what he said, this bastard.
But they don't do that. They don't have the money.
As the death toll mounts in Gaza and as global outrage continues to dominate massive protests around the world, the leaders of the United States Congress and the Bush administration continue to back Israel's war on the besieged Gaza Strip.
Understand Israel's desire to protect itself.
That one voice on Capitol Hill has broken from the status quo. Republican Congressman Ron Paul recently called the onslaught in Gaza an atrocious massacre.
It's our money and our weapons, but I think we encouraged it. Certainly the president has said nothing to diminish it. Matter of fact, he justifies it on moral grounds that, oh, they have a right to this, without ever mentioning the tragedy of Gaza. You know, the real problems that are there. To me, I look at it like a concentration camp, and people are making homemade bombs, and like they're the aggressors.
Dr. Paul noted despite silence from the Obama camp, the U.S. is heavily involved in the ongoing assault on the 1.5 million Palestinians trapped
This is the Islamic Republic's media arm.
in Gaza.
I think if we weren't in the Middle East, there'd be a much greater motivation for Israel to deal with all the people, and maybe the Arab League. Maybe they would be talking to the Arab League every single day on how to work out problems. But they don't do that. They don't have the motivation because they know we'll back them up. No matter what happens over there, Israel knows, and our government knows, Republican or Democrat, that we'll do whatever is necessary to bail out Israel.
Congressman Paul also said the best solution for the United States would be to end its special relationship with Israel because so far Israel's influence in U.S. foreign policy has only pushed the United States further in debt and increased anti-American sentiments around the world.
Of course, I want a ceasefire before they start. I want to change the policy which would prevent these problems. Of course, a ceasefire. They both ought to quit. But neither side right now are really ready to talk and deal with the major problems. So being on the side of just saying, well, my position is I'm calling for a ceasefire, that means you're involved in directing people on what to do. You know, if Israel has a problem they have to deal with it, I don't think it should be any of our business. It's just that it's our business, and we will be blamed because we support Israel blindly so, and we give them the money and we give them the weapons. That should be the contention that we approach here, and Congress should know about, and the American people should know about. And then if I personally favor one side over the other side, it's really pretty academic, because politically I don't want to be involved. I want to say, well, you know, I think the Palestinians had been ripped off, and therefore all the blame is on Israel. I've sort of stepped in a little bit more than I want to. I can have a personal opinion, but politically my position is that America would be much better off if we just minded our own business. And of course, I always tie this into the financial calamity that our foreign policy creates. We're spending way too much money, and that helped bring about this economic crisis.
Can I really
Okay,
just
this
bounce
guy's
off
up.
that real quick? Notice what
Okay,
that,
really quick, like 30 seconds, because we really
so
are
you
like,
said
we're not going to be able
exactly,
to go through the list. Yeah.
it's okay, you go. I'll do it after.
No, go ahead. You already started.
So, like, notice the content and context of what he said. It is exactly the narrative that you talked about that is being pushed by contemporary non-interventionists. All of it untrue. The lion's share of financial challenges facing the United States has nothing to do with intervention or military expenditure. It has everything to do with the rise of non-military public consumption, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, underwritten by an aging population. He sat there and misrepresented that because he's a fucking unwitting or witting agent of influence for our adversaries. And that's my point being, the point that you made regarding Her Highness Mrs. I don't know how to say her first name, Queen Pahlavi, she's right on the money. This guy is advocating that we would sit there and just constantly cure the symptom instead of resolving the problem. And he had not done that, we wouldn't be in the mess right now, because Iran would already have been liberated in 2005 when we were looking to do so.
All right. Just really quickly, when it says, "Oh, Israel costs us a lot of money," Israel has saved United States so much money. Israel, the amount of money that America had to spend fighting their enemies, if Israel was not there, would be astronomically higher. Israel has been a major money saver for United States, and more than money saver, life saver. Like, so many Americans are alive today because Israel was the wall between United States and her enemies. All right, guys, let's move on. Thank you, Jeffrey, for sharing that.
Hi,
Francis, you ready?
yeah, I'm ready. What I want to do is, first of all, I'm living in the UK, and I'm absolutely ashamed of this leftist Islamic government that we have. But also, on the plus point, I'm Greek. So the only two states in Europe that actually supports this war, or will let the Americans use the bases, one is Greece. Greece is letting the US Navy use the bases in Crete to resupply. Also, Cyprus, as I've said previously, has been given the Barak missile system to protect the airport at Paphos, the military airport, which Israel will be using. Also, I want to thank anybody that's from Israel for what's happening in Cyprus now. We'll be getting up to date more weapon systems from Israel. We're getting specialist training. Our Navy SEALs are actually training with the Israelis as well. Our special forces are also training with the Israelis. And Cyprus now will be a useful ally to Israel and also will be a very good ally to Iran. Also, the Greeks hate the IRGC for a couple of reasons. We actually fell out with them. We were the only European nation to fall out with the IRGC. Our Navy SEALs actually captured 2 of their ships in the Mediterranean. We brought them over. We confiscated many of the items on those ships, there was a lot of oil that we confiscated. And then the IRGC went to the Americans and we were forced to apologize and give back their ships. So basically, that's all I wanted to say is that us Greeks in Cyprus and in Greece are there to help liberate Iran.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And Chris, there's nothing to be ashamed of. You're responsible for your positions, right? Obviously. So, and I appreciate that.
It's only because we have this Islamic supporting government in the UK. Many of us, not just Brits, not just British, ethnic British, there's Greeks, all the Christians in the UK are so fed up with this government. We're now actually making statements now because they want to ban our dogs. There's an area in Camden where I'm working at now. They want to ban us walking dogs.
Wow.
So many of us now are starting to buy bigger dogs and we are starting to walk. I mean, like in Ilford yesterday, many patriots were walking through Ilford, which is more Islamic than Pakistan. Everybody had large dogs just to prove a point to the government that we do not want these laws changed just to accommodate the increased Islamic.
By this point, if I was in the UK, I would be buying a pig and walking my pig around instead of a dog by now. If it was me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been eating bacon sandwiches as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point where I'm either going to go back to Cyprus eventually, or Greece, or even go to America, or even a free Iran, which me and my wife were thinking of going on holiday. And also, we're definitely going to visit Israel because we want to go to the holy sites, the Christian holy sites, especially the Greek Orthodox Church, which is one of the holiest churches in Orthodox, Christian Orthodox. It's literally our holy place. So, and Israel, I think now, before we didn't like Israel as much, but now we love Israel now.
Oh, well, amazing. Okay. Well, and Chris, thank you for your support. Let's go through the list again. And Chris, thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Appreciate that. And don't give up on your country. And hopefully one day we could liberate the UK as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
I did. All right, guys, going forward, if you can focus on the questions, remember when I leave, there's going to be endless amount of time to do the non-question related topics. If it's okay, Danny, can you also remind people that to just focus on questions right now, like every time we have?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. If it's okay.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, so Cameron, is there Cameron here?
Yes, I'm right here. Yep. I just had 2 quick questions. One about the lion and sun flag, and then one about Turkey. So when I went to the February 14th rally for Iran in Boise, Idaho, there was someone there, or at least a couple there, they had the MEK flag, or as Goldie called it, the pointy flag. And I was just curious because they were also holding pictures that showed Pahlavi. So is the difference between the normal sun and flag, lion and sun flag, or the one with the crown, and the MEK flag something that news junkies are primarily aware of, or is this something that's general knowledge within the Iranian diaspora?
Okay, so I don't understand the question. Are you saying are the Iranian people aware of which lion and sun flag belongs to who?
Yes, exactly. Because they had an MEK flag, or the pointy flag, and at the same time they were holding pictures of Pahlavi.
Okay, so let's just be clear. Not all pointy lion and sun is MEK. Okay, the pointy one that is metallic gold that is the one that is MEK. They're pointing if they're holding a picture of Prince Pahlavi, they're not MEK. MEK would not be caught dead with a picture of Princess of Pahlavi. Okay,
Right.
uh,
That's I. Sorry.
no, that's it. That's the answer. Okay, so
Um,
I don't know. The
as
point
far
is,
as
yeah, go on, Turkey.
I was just going to say that the flag they had was the 3D metallic gold lion with the specific stuff, because I was confused. I went back and
Oh,
looked, checked on my phone. I'm like, no, that's the MEK flag. So I made sure. That's
okay.
why I was confused, and I just figured they didn't know
They,
any better.
maybe they didn't know any better. Maybe they're like the part of the diaspora that is not like maybe you could have told them like, guys, like this is not the wrong, this is not the right. Told
I
them.
thought about it, but then again, like there were only about 50 people there, and I was the only like American. It seemed like everybody else there was just Iranian, and I didn't want to be the one guy telling them what to do.
That would be that would be interesting. This American thing, like, guys, Iranians, that's not the that's not the line and stuff like that you should be supporting. Like, actually, it would be educate. It would be amazing if this American educated some Iranian diaspora. I mean, why not? Like,
Yeah.
if you know something that we could share that, why not?
The only question I had regarding Turkey was if you have any idea on their politics as far as what it looks like for their elections that are coming up, as far as Erdogan being kicked out. Because when I was there, I had a rather lengthy conversation with three guys that were attending college there. And and really everyone I ran into, they all hated Erdogan, and they all seem to be really sure that he's going to be voted out and that they didn't like him. And I'm just wondering if you have any idea about that, if that is something that's likely, or are they pretty much lost as far as he's going to have a tight grip on him for as long as he wants?
My understanding, again, I don't know if this is correct or not, but my understanding is that if we had free and fair elections in Turkey, he would be out. Like, he would be so out. Okay, so
Okay.
his survival is going to depend on how he's going to be able to make it not free and fair. Right, so I don't know. I mean, he tried to eliminate his main opposition, right, made him even more popular. I don't know. Is he going to be participating? Like, is he going to be able to run, or did he manage to completely remove him? I don't know, but I have to go get an update, right? But I think that depends on how, like, somebody with a better understanding of the internal politics of Turkey should come and explain to us how, regarding how much he's going to be able to basically not let the election be free and fair, right? And I don't have enough information regarding how much control he has over that. But hopefully, I hope for the Iranian people, for the people of Turkey, that they could get their country back. I really I really do admire Turkey's Ataturk legacy, especially as an Iranian. I think that we owe Turkey, when Ataturk was an ally of Reza Shah, and Reza Shah's modernization of Iran was inspired by Ataturk and what Reza Shah experienced and saw in Turkey. So we do have that bond, and it's such a tragedy that Turkey moved away from Ataturk's ideals and the direction that he was going. So I feel like, in the same way that in Iran we had everything collapsed really suddenly after the Islamic Revolution. In Turkey, we have had the same movement away, like, as in the same way that we moved away from Reza Shah and Muhammad Reza Shah, Turkey moved away from Ataturk, but their fall was slower. Like, we had like a sudden death, they had like a slow, more subtle type of death. But hopefully we're reviving Iran, and I'm hoping that the Iranian, like a free Iran, a free secular democratic Iran, will inspire the youth of Turkey as well, and political activists in Turkey as well. And I think it will inspire the youth of the entire region and political activists, because in the same way that the Islamic Revolution made Islamists all around the Middle East and North Africa. It gave them motivation that if it's possible in Iran to have an Islamic revolution, then we want to do the same thing in our country. And the Islamic Revolution of 1979 was the reason why we had so much it's radicalism and jihadism and Islamism all around the region. I'm thinking we will have the opposite of that happening when Iran becomes free, secular, and democratic. I think that could also, in the same way, basically be a source of inspiration and motivation for all the region to also fight for the same thing, to move away from Islam and towards secularism. This is why I also hope that we could, in Iranian people, after the after the fall of the Islamic Republic, will maintain a good and positive relationship with the people of their neighboring countries, even if they're frustrated with their leaders. So, one thing I advocate for on the Persian side and the Persian channel is for us to be angry with Erdogan, but not with Turkish people. To be like, to now also advocate for us to have a positive view towards Iraqi people, even if we're frustrated with the Iraqi government or the Iraqi militia. Same thing with Afghanistan. I want to say same thing with Pakistan, but that's harder to say. But say same thing with Pakistan. It's just Pakistan. We need to liberate Pakistan as well. But this is going to, holy hell, it's going to be very difficult to also deal with Pakistan. Hopefully, we could liberate Pakistan one day as well. But Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Turkey, as much as we might be frustrated with the militia terrorist groups and the government over there, the Iranian people could be a major source of positive influence if they try to maintain a good relationship with the people who live under them. For example, in Afghanistan, especially with the Tajik community in Afghanistan, we like it's not a very known fact in Iran how many Tajiks have the similar cultural backgrounds and values as the Iranian people. They celebrate the Shahnameh almost in the same level as the Iranian people do. So that's a huge bond. That's a huge cultural bond. With Afghanistan, we could create that bond. They speak the same language. They used to be part of Iran. So that's the bond that we have with them. In Turkey, we have that bond with Ataturk. So we need to create these bonds. Like Iran needs to become the base of operation for anti-Islamism and pro-secular movement around the entire region. And I can't wait for a free Iran, because on the Persian side, I want to become this is what I want to do. I want to become one of the people who is leading activism to export, in the same way that Khomeini was trying to export Islamism outside of Iran's border. I want to be a small part of this global movement out of Iran that wants to export secularism from Iran to outside of Iran. So I'm looking forward to that, for that to be a secular Khomeini. All right,
Okay.
let's move.
Yeah. Next, I have Joseph.
Joseph.
I'm back.
Yay, Joseph, where have you been? We missed you.
Mardi Gras. I have been writing or doing logistics with a couple of crews that I ride with since Epiphany.
Oh my
That was
God.
January 6th. Ash Wednesday just happened this last week. I'm back. I mean, it's trust me, when you have to be at the start of a parade route at 3 in the afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm usually on the road at 2 o'clock, and then I'm busy. So, and then even on the days off, I'm usually trying to get whatever rest I can until. It's the sole reason why I've been gone for about the last 2 months, and this will happen every year. It's just part of the grind. But I'm going to go back to something because I don't see the one thing that needs to that I'm seeing happening, because I've been kind of paying attention to it. Canada is splitting up. I'd like to point that out. Alberta, Saskatchewan are the two that are going to be the first to go, with the possibility of British Columbia, Yukon, and Northwest Territories. What's going on currently in Edmonton and Regina, those are the capitals of Alberta and Saskatchewan. That's actually becoming a lot more of a reality, because, and also as well as Manitoba, it's because people are getting ticked off with what's going on in Ottawa. Carney is cracking down in all the wrong ways, and it's starting to tick off Canada. From what I've seen, I'm right now researching their ties with China because it's going to really mess the whole thing up. But if BC breaks with Ottawa, China's going to be is out to lunch because that's their Pacific entry point to Canada. Now, I grew up in Washington State, just below, so it's right now things are in flux. We've got God knows how much of our Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, is currently in the Middle East. Flight 42 is showing some of it, but for those of you who don't know, Flight 42 tracks all air traffic around the world. So you can actually see the flight patterns. So right now, where we are war-wise, I think we're on the edges where Iran's about to find out. They've been playing games for the last couple of months in the Straits of Hormuz. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But it's
Hormuz.
really, really weird what's going on right now. And if the Iranian military wants to really touch U.S. boats, it's not going to end well for them. It's never ended well for a country that's touched our boats. And that's been that way for 200 plus years. Just want to put that out. That's what I'm seeing currently right now. Hey, Dodge.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, I like that phrasing. It hasn't worked out for anybody who has touched our boats. That sounds badass. I like that. I don't think Canada is going like. I don't know if you're talking about Canada falling apart as like like turning to like secede, like different parts seceding. Like I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
Because
actually there has been some rumors floating around that Edmonton and Regina have been talking with the U.S. government, and there's been referendums in both provinces to secede from Canada. And this is not
but with very little support. With very little support.
Actually, a lot. If you listen to Canadian news, there's no support. If you go through the
polls, looking at polls, if you look at polls,
I unfortunately I've not been paying attention to what's being published by the Canadian, the primary Canadian media, because they are all in the back pocket of Carney.
I'm not talking about media. I'm talking about scientifically collected data. Polls suggest that there's not going to be enough support for it. Also, Canadians' main culture is that we're better than America. So I don't think that they want to like that's the main Canadian identity is being better than America.
Canada is the reason we have a Geneva Convention.
Yes, I know.
It is because of their actions.
But I don't think okay, but you're always going to be able to find some people who would talk to Americans about something. That doesn't mean that there's a lot of support for it in Canada. But anyways, we'll see. I guess we'll see. All right, let's go to next.
Next, I have Richard.
Joseph. By the way, Joseph, it's really good to have you back. Miss hearing from you, but Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I had just two quick questions and two quick comments and a quick question regarding something you said earlier. So, dealing with watching the show earlier with Goldie and with Sank and the chunky yogurt, arguments and things like that, I think it's very important to keep in mind, generally, just taking a step back, that leftism ideologically does not tolerate dissent, and these kinds of emotional breakdowns, emotional responses to any kind of dissent or question are to be expected anytime when dealing with a leftist. They often use them as clickbait specifically for that purpose, because people love to see these kinds of angry breakdowns. But the emotional response is absolutely baked into the cake anytime you're dealing with a leftist. The Mexican situation, I do agree with what you said about American soft power, but I am far more pessimistic. Mexico is essentially a narco state. The level of corruption of the narcos in the government and the military is so pervasive. I would not surprise me in the least to find out that El Mencho was basically killed at the behest of a rival cartel looking to take over territory. I think this is something that Americans have dealt with before in South America. I have no doubt that Trump, is dealing with this with open eyes. But any calculation involving American soft power influence in Mexico has to take that corruption into account. The question was looking at a mainstream media article the other day talking about the resurgence of the Iranian military nuclear program, basically a piece to help the argument to expedite the strikes. And the source they were quoting, who they actually quoted as the initial party disclosing the Iranian nuclear military project back in the early 2000s, was actually from the National
MEK?
Council of Resistance of Iran, so basically MEK. My question is how we can improve our relationship with more established media entities so that they're not using MEK sources in stories like that.
Right, right. So what we're talking about is there was when originally Israel came and years ago delivered the information to the world where it showed that the Islamic Republic is not abiding by the terms of the agreement, the nuclear agreement, the limitations of enrichment of uranium by the Islamic Republic in the agreement that they had under the IAEA with the countries that were involved. The reason why we know that they were not abiding by the terms of the deal, the nuclear deal, is Israel basically coming up with a lot of information that they got from the MEK, right? So this is what the MEK likes to remind people, that the reason why we got so much international pressure on the Islamic Republic is the data that they unearthed. They basically gave to the whole world. And when if you ask like, oh, why are people sourcing them? Are there not other alternative sources of information? The problem with that is that it's not that they were being used as a source, like a media source. The thing that they're telling us is that the MEK was responsible in the the intelligent, like the spying activity. Like they were the ones who actually went and dug this information. They're the ones who are managed to, they had spies within Iran, within the Islamic Republic, and they give credit to themselves for eventually getting like you know how the nuclear deal, the JCPOA, was thrown out. The Obama deal, the deal that Obama was responsible for signing with the Islamic Republic, and the deal was basically the Islamic Republic will give in to the international observers from the IEA observers coming in and monitoring the level of enrichment of the Islamic Republic, and in return, there was the sanctions. Many sanctions were removed from the Islamic Republic. That is a deal that Obama was responsible for, and eventually Trump threw it away and he referred to it as one of the worst deals ever, one of the worst deals in history for the United States. The MEK likes to claim that they deserve a lot of credit for the information that eventually led to that. So I have this hypothesis, and you might be it might be actually because I'm very biased against the MEK. You don't have, and nobody here has to take it seriously.